evening, all. This I'm your host, Adam Dorey, and we are going to have another episode of Tea and what is happening in the giant United States. Or let's try this again. How about we have an interview about Mr. Adam Dorey to see what he's all about. So I'm Joe Barry. Let's bring Adam on and start off with asking him some questions.
Bam.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Joe, man, I'm awesome. This is super cool, and I'm excited for this switcheroo. And we kind of talked behind the scenes, and I'm just gonna you what you tell me to do is what I'm gonna do. I'm driving it from this end. So I've seen a handful of the pictures just as I kind of put them in. I haven't really dug into them, but I haven't seen any of your questions.
Okay, that is perfect. Obviously, everyone here knows Adam for pretty much the voice of Rocky Mountain Race Week, Drag and Drive. If you don't, that's sad because he honestly knows the racers probably better than anyone I know. You can sit there and listen to him as a spectator or as a racer, and he can go down and tell you about everyone's car, tell you about their best pass, what may have happened on the drive, what may have happened on their last pass. So it's always a pleasure to listen to Adam. It's something that I highly recommend. If you haven't, just sit down when you're at one of the drag and drives, especially Rocky Mountain Race Week, and just listen. You would be quite amazed. He definitely has a gift when he's announcing.
It's super fun for me, honestly. It's these are all my friends, and the people that are watching, I consider all my friends. So I'm talking about my friends to my friends on as big a stage as exists. So it's really cool. I think it's flattering that I get to do this and that I get paid for it, and Matt takes great care of me with it as well. So I don't lose anything from leaving my regular job, and it's so much fun. And I've said for years that the best announcer is a fanboy of all of the people that he's announcing for, and Derek Putnam is a good example of one that's exactly that. He's an enthusiast. That's how he would describe himself, and I think that's really what an announcer needs to be. And yeah, man, I'm just your biggest fan, so it's fun for me to do.
Well, we appreciate it. I want to go back a little bit, kind of change it up a little bit. I know normally you talk about cars and different things like that and about the different racers, but I personally know you strictly from the drag and drives or Rocky Mountain Race Week. I don't know much. Well, I do. I know more now, but I have a whole bunch of questions. So
Perfect.
I wanted to go back and just talk a little bit about you personally before we get into all the stuff that that's brought us all together, kind of thing.
Totally.
So, are you? I have a picture one, which is a family photo, and it kills me when I was, as you say, stalking your Facebook, because you don't ever comment or say what the pictures are. So I thought, are these Adam's family or?
That is.
Okay.
So yeah, this is me and my people.
Okay.
That's my dad with the white guy fro.
Yep.
And missing some teeth. He knocked him out in a car accident when he was 17.
Okay.
That's me in my mom's lap, and my little brother in my dad's lap. And this is our old house on Julian in Denver.
Okay. So you were obviously you're an original Coloradoan then.
I am. I'm a native.
Wow.
One of the few.
I didn't expect that. So that's good to know.
Yep.
Now, as far as your little brother, is he still in Colorado? Is he in the car stuff or?
He's not in the car stuff at all. He's in Phoenix. He was the jock and I was the gearhead.
Okay.
So he was really, really good at baseball, and had a group of friends that he, kind of grew up with, and they all went to college together down at ASU, and he's never left, and he loves it down there.
Gotcha. What now I noticed just once again stalking. Um I see you have some college, some community college. What did you study?
So I started going to college because really I had GI Bill stuff
Okay.
that I had to pay, that I had to kind of like start using, and it was kind of a use or lose it deal back then. And so I just started kind of just going to go, and just whatever. Just I kind of threw caution to the wind, and I took a ton of different classes, and finally decided like I have to get the hell out of college because um, I started going to community college in shoot, it would have been like 2002 or something like that, and I just took like whatever. I don't even know. I think I was going to meet girls, to be honest, and but anyway, yeah, long story short, I ended up with an English degree, and I have a minor in secondary education. So I should be a junior high or high school teacher.
Wow. Well, that now I kind of understand a little bit better. I knew you were in the military. I didn't realize much about that, and I'm humbled to say the very least because I obviously went through all your pictures, and I actually had to have a friend explain to me exactly your rank, your status, things like that.
Yeah.
So, thank you for your service to start with. I don't think anyone realizes. I mean, next time I see you, I don't know how I'm going to react because you're like the Rambo in real life. I mean, all these kids. No, I'm serious here. Um, I wanted to. Can you put up picture number two? And okay, that what year kind of was that?
So this was after my second deployment. This would have been 2008.
Okay. So, and you did two tours in Iraq, correct?
Correct. Yep, I did a 2006, 2007, and then kind of a 2007, 2008.
Huh.
So sort of
And
back to back. I was home about 6 months.
wow. So, based on what I found out, if you can give me picture number three, and you can correct me because I don't know that I'm going to be right or not, and you'll have to forgive me because
Oh,
I
it's all good.
I was not in the military, so I this is very interesting to me. So you were a staff sergeant, correct?
Correct.
And you were airborne.
I was in a 19 Special Forces group. So I was a paratrooper all 9 of my years.
Okay, and I was told that you have an expert infantry on this particular on your lapel.
So actually, that's a combat action badge. So
Okay.
that's the I was in the wrong place at the wrong time badge.
Oh, okay. And then there's accommodations. I was told,
Hmm.
and then I was also if you want to let's pull up picture number four. But I was told that special forces there's not something that is on your lapel. Apparently, that's kind of just it's one of those things that you guys know amongst yourself.
Yeah, we have on this picture, kind of right above my staff sergeant rank,
Mm-hmm.
is our unit badge, and it's the
Okay.
same badge that's at the top of this photo.
Okay.
It's the three lightning bolts with a sword and the arrowhead, and then it's capped with airborne.
Okay. Do you tell me about this plaque, or tell us about this plaque?
So this was right when I was getting out. I was a staff sergeant, and I got into a little bit of trouble right at the end there. So I was a sergeant when I got out. Um, all my stuff still has the rocker on it because I'm not gonna pay to demote myself right when I'm getting out. So whatever. But no, everyone kind of gets some nicknames and stuff as we go through. And El Chuper Libre was a Futurama episode. There was a character in the Futurama, and it came out and it whatever, it did its thing, and I earned that nickname like immediately. They were like, "That's friggin' Dorey." So yeah, and finding and fixing bad guys is a little self-explanatory.
Yeah, it does. It is. Picture number 5. I'm assuming this was a shot of you, maybe from behind you or something, or
No, that's this was a psyops unit that was with us. But the guy that was in the truck that I was with took this photo. So this was real life. Like, this wasn't a part of a video or anything like that. And he was an amazing combat camera guy. And they kind of are embedded with us to take photos of what we're doing while we're doing it for archive's sake. But our calling card over there, as a special forces unit, you go after, they're bad guys. These aren't just dudes that, run away from you when you're driving through town. These are real life bad dudes. So our MO was we would steal their cars and blow their houses up. And so this is us blowing up one of their houses.
Wow.
And then later we stole their car, and we would be driving around these mud caked cars because they would use mud. Oh, we lost Joe. Son of a. I'll keep talking while we get Joe back. That sucks. But yeah, so they would cake their cars in mud to camouflage them, and we would drive those things back onto base, and all these guys that never leave base would be freaked out when they saw these mud covered cars driving around, because that's what bad guys drove. So anyway, we'll wait for Joe to come back. He was kind of flashing in and out when we were like testing this, and it sucks because I have none of his timeline or outline or anything. I don't know what he's going to do. Here he's back. He's got his IT support. Joey is here.
Well, hi, Adam. I apologize for that, Adam. I don't know what I touched, but I touched something.
It's all good. I just finished the story. But yeah, so we would again steal their car and blow up their house, but we would drive back onto base with these cars that we had taken from these guys that they didn't need them anymore. and so yeah, so it would like freak these dudes out who had heard stories of these cars that were out there, but now we're driving them on the base. And so like everyone knows what just happened. So yeah, whatever. But it was cool. It was a really fun for a while. It was really fun, but it gets to be a different thing when the range shoots back at you.
I have no idea. I don't even want to say I can imagine, because I have zero clue when it comes to it.
Yeah, totally. So, but yeah, it was time. It was a good time for me to leave. So, I did my time. I did it admirably, and I bowed out in a honorable manner, and it was good for me to leave when I did.
Well, thank you. I had no idea. I knew you were a vet, but I didn't really know that you were like Rambo.
Yeah, I've said, and I'm a pretty humble dude. I don't talk about my stuff very much, and but I've told some people kind of in the know that like, I've only done I've done real life stuff that people have only played in video games.
And I actually hesitated. I wasn't going to even bring this up, but as I learned more about it, I thought it's too big, too special, and too important, I think, to the world we live in, for people not to know and acknowledge. I know that's not what we're looking for or anything like that, but it's important to me. So
totally. And I appreciate that. And It was pretty cool, and I got to do some neat shit, and I got to see a ton of the world and meet. I mean, literally walk with giants, like dudes that are like dudes they make movies about are dudes that I was kicking doors with. So it was a really really cool time. Like I said, until it wasn't,
Yeah.
but it was great, and it made me into a man, and it got me through college, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, I'd say you did really, really good for yourself then.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Um, that'll bring me to my next segment. Um, tattoos.
Got a
I
lot of them.
know. Yes, you do. Are they all service related, or do you have other tattoos that aren't service related?
I have two tattoos that I have for my mother. Um, I have one on this side that's an Abraham Lincoln quote that says, "All that I am or ever hope to be, I owe it to my angel mother," and has her birth and death date. And then I've got an ambigram, so it's the same thing forward and backward, or it's two different words, forward and backward.
Okay.
And it says dedicated one direction, and then if you flip it over, it says determined. And that was same deal. My mom always used to tell us that whatever you do, make sure you do it dedicated and determined.
That's awesome. That is
But
awesome.
all the rest of them are all army stuff, and I had planned and still have planned to do this one in all car type stuff, and kind of it'll just sort of tell my story a little bit of some of the stuff I've done, and then some of the stuff I'm doing now.
Well, um, I'm sure you know Frank Romano. He's a
Yep.
tattoo artist.
Yep.
So that's kind of when I seen your tattoos. I thought of him because obviously what he does.
Right.
Um, can we get you to put up like picture number 6?
Yeah.
And I think that's the tattoo parlor right after you had had some work done.
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
I know you can see where paratrooper down below, up and top is special forces, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then let's see what picture number 7. You're doing your bathroom selfies.
My bathroom selfies. Thanks
Yeah.
for cropping out my nipple.
Well, if I had known that was an issue, we were gonna. I should have left it because that's here. Um. Okay, and then last but least, how about picture number 8? I figured that's full circle with your tattoos,
Yep.
for service, and your race week win.
Totally. Totally. And this one was kind of right when I got really involved with the announcing and whatnot, and I was kind of coming into my own with it a little bit, and I hadn't won anything, but it was like, hey, here's something for you, and I was so excited. But that's sort of when I became part of sort of race week, and was kind of helping with some of the planning and the rules and things like that, and even though I'm not like the guy, I'm like a guy.
You're
Um,
you're quite the guy. I would
yeah,
say.
and
I mean,
yeah, so that was kinda like the first time that I was like, "Damn, I'm, like, really actually part of something kinda really cool going on right now," and, like, that moment was a cool moment for me.
no, well, it's well deserved. I can tell you that. I mean, very well deserved.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Thank you, guys. That's
I
cool.
want to go from you being this, badass to something more soft, the soft side of Adam, let's say. I know you like pets.
Oh, yeah.
You're an animal person, which I get. We're animal people, and so um, you have a dog and a cat, or just the dog?
Just a dog. I had 2 dogs and
Mm-hmm.
lost the little dog and the cat. My little dog was, he was 13 or 14, years old, Jack Russell Terrier, and he was a dog I got from my friend who was adopting, a little boy or a pair of little boys, and Tweak, the little dog, bit one of the little boys on the cheek, and Boulder County said, "No way,
Um,
you can't have that dog in here." So he called me one day, kind of middle of the afternoon, and said, "I don't know anyone else I can call that I can trust, but will you take my dog?" And I said, "Absolutely, bring him over. We'll give him a test drive, and just if nothing else, I'll foster him until you find something." And I called him later that afternoon, and I said, "Yeah, you guys, we're good. I'll keep this dog. He's awesome." But his name was Tweak, and he was the sweetest little guy. And he ended up blind and deaf, and still, like, for about a year and a half, like, just trucked on, and finally, unfortunately, had a stroke or something, and lost it. But and then I had a cat that I've had for a long, long time. Princess was her name, and same deal, just happy go lucky, best cat ever. And then just one day, like, nope, we're done. So down to one dog, which is honestly that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with one dog.
Yeah. What? Let's put up picture 9. Explain this one to me.
So this is my dog, this Klaus. He's super cool. He's pretty young here. He might be 3 months old or something like
Yeah.
that. And I started bringing him to work with me because I was the manager of the place. So I was like, well, I mean, who's going to tell me no?
Yeah.
So I brought him to work with me for a bunch, and yeah, I love that dog. He's 6.5 now, and he is still insane. I mean, insane.
Oh, we let's put up picture 10.
Let's see, 10.
Which I obviously is way back too. I got the pictures that caught my eye.
Oh yeah,
I know obviously he's much bigger now, but I got the pictures, and I know that you looked at some of the questions, and I identified him. This one here we called couch potatoes.
couch.
That's what fit. That's what fit. So
That's good.
but I figure we want to show the softer side of Adam. So
Yeah, I love that dog. I've had him since he was 8 weeks, so he was just a little guy, and yeah, he's been a super cool companion, and yeah, he looks super mean, and then he rolls on his back, and he's like, "Hey, how you guys?" Yeah, like, just been a very, very cool dog, and really fun to have around. And like, we had Stevie had her parents and her sister and brother-in-law over with their brand new baby, and he'd never been around a baby, so we weren't sure how that was going to go. But he just ended up licking his foot a couple of times. He did bark, like, right in his face. Oh, lost your screen there.
yeah, the screensaver. I need my tech support back
It's
up
all
here.
good. But yeah, he did bark in his face one time. But that dog's a pretty good dog, and I don't know, like, thing one about training the dog, but if I say you need to go home, that dog goes home, and that's all I give a crap. And Nick Ball, I'm gonna bring. I know you're supposed to be driving, but I'm gonna bring that up. But Nick is my buddy's nephew, and that dog is obsessed with his freaking rope. You could play rope with him until he had cardiac arrest in the backyard. I mean, yes, you will get tired before he does. I promise you.
So he's as spastic as you are.
He's insane, insane.
Because your energy level is constant every time I've seen you. I've not seen you tired yet.
Um, it happens. It happens for sure. But I'm a pretty, happy-go-lucky dude. I've seen, as you have seen a little bit, I've seen kind of the shit end of the world a little bit, and the things that most people call problems are pretty minuscule in comparison. So every day is a good day. Every day on this side of the lawn.
That is a good outlook. How about we put up picture number 12?
Let's see, 12. Bam!
Yeah,
That's that lady.
that is that lady. Up until this point, I wasn't sure that you liked girls.
What the? Come on, Joe. I mean, come on, Joe.
Well, I learned earlier that that's why you went to college was for girls. Well, now I know.
So yeah, that's that lady. Yeah, we just got engaged over New Year's,
Do
and
you,
she's awesome.
do you guys have a date set?
No date yet. Oh, there she is. OMG. We don't have a date set yet. We are going to get married in the at least right now on paper in the fall sometime. Or I'm sorry, in Jesus, the spring sometime. Wow. But we might just go to Vegas too.
Yeah,
So we're trying to figure out our life.
I get it. How long have you guys known each other?
So we met a long time ago. Actually, her family raced at Douglas Motorsports Park, and I worked. My first announcing gig was Douglas Motorsports Park, and it had to have been like 2012. So I was only a couple of years removed from the army, and whatever. I was just like looking for something, and I had a dead car, and I wanted to do something with racing, and we may as well do it 6.5 hours from home, and make minimum wage. But it was super awesome, and I had like the best year really of my life, and it was super cool to go up there and do that. But I met her family up there, and she was 16 at the time, so we weren't like dating then. But yeah, friends with the family, and I would kind of run into them when they would come through Julesburg and stuff. I did a test drive of my car before drag week. No, I'm sorry. It would have been, yeah, no, drag week 16. And I drove it to Julesburg
Okay.
and back, and figured out that stuff was screwed up, which was great. But they happened to be racing up there. So yeah, just kind of like I occasionally would see each other. And um, I, I think I actually like tricked her with race week. To be honest, she had a Rambler, a 4-door Rambler,
Mm-hmm.
and I was hounding her. I was like, "You need to come on race week. Like, you can drive my Cadillac." And we were totally friends right now. Like, we hadn't really dated or even talked about it or anything. We were just sort of just whatever, pen pals, if you will. And I said, "You need to come on race week, because this is what I do with my friends, is like bait them into coming on race week, and then I have these friends that all of a sudden understand, and they're in the circle of trust."
Yep.
But so I said, "You've got this shit Rambler. Let's put it together and put it on race week." And she was like, "Okay, like that sounds cool." And I went up. I was like, I'll help. I'll go up one weekend. I'll help you get it ready to go, and I'll go up another weekend, and we'll just go drive it." And she was like, "Great." And I flew up that first weekend, and we're working on it. And I was like, hmm, hmm. Um, but yeah, she to back up just a hair, she answered the door in a towel.
Oh,
So I showed up, knocked on the door. She answered the door in a towel. So yeah, I was like, this is probably a good sign for the weekend.
possibly.
And it turned out to be a whole lot more than a weekend. So that's awesome.
That is. So we know you've been putting her in the caddy. What is her? What does she have a dream car? Obviously, she's in the cars. Does she have a car that she would like or wants to build?
Bad. Yeah. And so full disclosure, she told me this before this. So we talked about this, and she was like, "In case someone asks you." So this is the one I know.
Oh man.
But we talked about it because we were literally just talking about, if you were a car, what kind of car would you be? And I told her that she would be a Ford Gran Torino, because it's just a little bit different, but she likes Fords.
Yeah.
Her whole family is Ford people. Whatever. But no, there's a guy just up the street here that has like a 1970 AMX,
Mm-hmm.
and he drives that thing past the house, and she's like, "Was that an AMX?" She would like to have an AMX.
That is a cool car. I had a friend that has a collection of those, and learned a lot about those cars. They They're very unique.
Look at this. She didn't mean to answer the door in her towel. She
Oh,
swears. Yeah. Whatever.
I'm not going to comment on that at all.
Oh
So
man.
that brings me to the next question, which kind of makes me sad.
Oh.
Um,
Is this
you
where you
moved,
needed the music?
yeah, no, I wanted the music before when I was in the Call You Rambo, but
Okay. Got
there
it.
wasn't anything badass. So you're moving,
I'm moving.
and where's home going to be?
We're gonna go to South Dakota.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is kind of our first like to our tens and tens of viewers tonight. I've told a handful of people and work and stuff knows, but yeah, we're moving to Rapid City, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to a change, and my job is going to keep me on remote, so it's kind of it's like win-win. I get to make Denver money in South Dakota. She gets to be near her family, and life is good.
That is awesome. That is really really cool. I'm assuming you're still going to do the announcing for race week and things like that.
For
That's not
sure.
going to change.
Nope, that won't change. It's a like a 6 hour drive. I've done it six and a half. I've done it as fast as 5.5. So you know that's cool. Drink
Yeah, drink.
that
I forget
Cadillac
about
will
that.
that Cadillac will cruise about 120. I'll just tell you that in Mexico, Wyoming.
In Mexico, Wyoming.
So no, it's still within easy grasp, and even if we had to bring a car somewhere around this parts, it wouldn't be that bad. No big deal. So yeah, no, it's going to be super fun. And her dad got prostate cancer and good prognosis and everything, but it's just it's going to be the best place for us.
No, no, that's a very important thing to be around for.
Yeah, exactly. And not to mention, like, I've had my house since 2006, so I owe like nothing on it, and so I can rent it for like everything.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, I don't need such a nice job if I need to, like, And
Yep.
but no, I'm still planning on doing all the announcing stuff. Um, I'm committed right now for the Mod Nationals at Bradenton, who I expect to see Darce Laws at, by the way, with his new Mustang. If you guys haven't seen his Mustang,
Really?
yeah,
That surprises me.
he's got an S550.
Wow, would have not expected that out of Darce.
Yeah, he brought it to the last PSCA race.
Huh.
And I heard story of, I didn't hear directly from him, but I heard story of him he had the car in the box and he got in the truck and he was on the phone, got in the truck, and the phone Bluetooth connected to the race car in the trailer. Which is pretty sweet.
Cool. That is way cool.
That's pretty sweet. But no, so Mod Nationals is on the docket. That's Veterans Day weekend in November at Bradenton. All Ford mod motors, and it's a riot, man. That's a cool race. It's 3 days and tons of classes, like $80,000 in payouts. And yeah, I just kind of like miracled myself into that because I'm not a Ford guy. I'm not a Mustang guy. I'm certainly not a mod motor guy, and I hadn't been in the past. But sitting through 3 days of watching these things work and do their thing, and then talking to dudes who are like, I bought a GT500 for $50K. I did 4 mods on it that cost me less than $10,000, and it traps 160. And I'm like, You're a fucking cheater.
Damn Mustang guys.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you can't argue with them. The things, they work. They just work. I mean, Mike Mead just got one this year at Race Week. He's at LT1s, old school LT1s, forever and ever and ever, and got an S550. And it went bottom 10s on blower, and just, I mean, that's pretty sweet.
No, it is. It's the technology today just blows my mind. I mean, with all the manufacturers, I can't. every time I see one, it just amazes me
There,
where we.
it's insane. I mean, it's no different than a ZL1 Camaro or a ZR1 Corvette or even a Z28 or a Z06 Corvette. What I mean, whatever, dude. Whatever's your flavor. GT500, great. Scat Pack junk, make it happen, man. But it's a good time to be a hot rodder. That's for sure.
No, I completely agree. So that brings me to picture 13.
13.
This is
Bam.
you. Yeah, the actually High Speed Media April took this picture
Totally.
when I was busy looking for pictures, and I asked everyone I knew, and April actually had a picture. She goes, "I got a picture."
Yep.
So this obviously was just a couple weeks ago, race week.
Yep. Yep.
So I know, obviously, we know you announce. I really don't know how you got started. I know you said you went to Douglas. They run an ad? Hey, we need an announcer, and you thought, hey, I can do this, or how did you do it? How did you get into this?
My buddy Zach Hicks raced at Douglas a lot, and he still races. And in fact, his parents won the Superman Award for Bandamere for last year. So their 64th year, they won that award. So they race a lot, and he raced at Douglas a lot, and he worked there and raced there. So he just basically worked the day for his entry fees to go race, which was a pretty cool deal because he would have made a little more if he actually paid himself and then paid the entry fee. But he was really good, so if he did really well, he would make more money that day. So he somehow convinced his wife that we're going to go work at Douglas every summer for nothing, and she was cool with that, which good for them. But no, he just asked, and Dick, who was the manager up there, Dick Anderson, his wife had some health issues, and so he was going to be able to manage, but not able to announce. And so they just said, "We're looking for an announcer." And I had my Malibu at the time, but it was broken, and I couldn't do anything with it. It was just waiting on. I needed money to buy parts, and I figured, what better way to make money than to make minimum wage 6.5 hours from home, and really only make about $20 in a weekend after you'd count in all my food and gas up and back. And I had a Acura at the time that got really, really good gas mileage, but still only made about $20. So, but that was it. And I fell in love with it. I announced next to Bob Fry. They had a national open up there right before the Mile High Nationals. So all the super comp and super gas dudes, if you race at the national event level, you need to have grade points. So you have to have enough points in your class to qualify to race at the national event. So we offered one like weeks before the nationals, so guys that were short could come 6 hours real quick, make grade points, and go race at the nationals. And Bob Fry showed up. He was working for ESPN at the time, and it was awesome. It was really cool. Like, I didn't really know anything about announcing other than listening to Bruce Kamada announce. And I lived at the racetrack basically, growing up, like right after I moved out of my house and stuff as a 17-year-old kid. That was like my solace. But I learned from Bruce, and so everything I did was what Bruce did, and I was okay at it. And Bob Fry himself was just like, "Hey, here's a couple things you can work on, but you've really got it down. Like your cadence is really good, your volume is really good." So it was really cool to kind of have, like, at the time, like, that was Loans. I mean, that was the dude. I mean, you would turn on Saturday morning on ESPN and there's Bob Fry calling drag racing. So it was really, really, like, it opened my eyes to it as like, okay, like that's could be a thing. And I sort of never honestly thought about it after that until 2020. And Matt said, we're going to have a live stream. We're going to do this for the masses because everything's closed. And like, we can do this. So like, let's just do it. But I need an announcer, and same deal. It's like the same story twice. I don't I didn't have a car that ran. So I said, dude, I ran the social media page that was kind of it was a shoot off of the drag week page. I made a race week page, and then it exploded because it was public. So a jillion people ended up on it. So it was it was a very different experience all of a sudden. But I knew from running that pretty much everybody. So it made sense for me just to, dude, I'll do it. And I think he called me on the phone and said, "That's great. You're like kind of perfect for this. How much should I pay you?" And I wasn't making very much money at the time. And I think I told him for the week, like $600 or something like that. And he like laughed at me and he was like, "Dude, like come up with a real number and call me back." And I thought it was too high. I was like, "Oh no." Like I offended him. Like that, I figured 100 a day was probably pretty good, like, and yeah, he was like, "No, dude, like, how's like $2,000?" And I was like, not just yes, but like, hell yeah, like, let's go. Like, let's do one every week. Like, I'm ready. So yeah, it was very cool. And like, like I said, he's taken really, really good care of me. And I make a great, I make a pretty good amount of money for a week of work, at race week, which is pretty cool. And, yeah, dude, I owe him to kind of get my foot in the door with a lot of this stuff. And it's been kind of it's been a ride, dude, riding his coattails. Like, he's Matt. So a lot of times there's fire behind him, and you just gotta know, like, dude, like he's on the right track, but there's some fire. Like you gotta, you'll be all right. You hooked your chain to the right dude. But no, it's been cool. It's been a really, really cool ride, and it's been really fun. And I've made friends that I never even knew I had. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to take over again, but this last race week, back in the day, I had a Firebird, and it had a blown injected motor in it, and I took the 1471 off. I was actually deployed. And I had my buddy Steve, who I just took to race week, bring a 1471 blower to L&M Blowers in Denver. And they're like the only place in Denver, and probably even around, that's all they do is roots blowers. Like 471 to 1471, they can rebuild them and strip them and do, I mean, all the stuff. So I had this beat up blower that I brought them, and they said, we can rebuild it. But I was watching the live stream for the first time ever, on race week this year, because it was manageable. Like there were 300 and 400 and 500 people kind of in the chats. And I was able to kind of like interact with them a little bit. Typically there's 3,000 and 4,000, and it's pretty much 2,000 people telling me how bad of a job I'm doing. So I just don't watch it. But this last one was great because I got to watch it and I got to kind of interact with people that aren't typically at the racetrack. But somebody said, "Where's the place in Denver to get blowers worked on?" And I had no idea. I just, "Hey, L&M Blowers did a blower for me, blah, 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 blah." Well, come to find out the next day or 2 days later, the L&M Blowers dudes are on the event. They've got a wagon with a blower. And I don't even think they heard me pimping L&M Blowers before they knew I was there. Like I was just doing it because they were dudes that helped me out. And it turns out that they're there. And it was a super cool deal because they were like as excited to meet me as I was as excited to meet them again. Like, and they were like floored when I told them, like, "Dude, you rebuilt a 1471 of mine." And they're like, "What?" Like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, and so I got some stickers, but it was funny because I was in Pueblo, and I said their slogan is "We Blow Denver." And like all the girls in the like booth next to me just erupted in laughter. But like this dude walked up and he was wearing a shirt that had a pair of like lips, and then in pink said "We Blow Denver." And I was like, "Holy shit, you're the L&M dudes." And they're like, "Oh my God, here's stickers. I'll come by the shop and I'll give you a shirt." And I'm like, "That's awesome, dude. But like, thanks for bringing." They had a wagon that ran 22 or 23 seconds. Did nothing else but put a blower on it. It was running low 13s.
Wow.
So that was very cool. But anyway.
Well, with that being said, do you actually do research and keep notes about the racers, the cars, or do you do it based on your memory?
A little bit from column A and a little bit from column B. Um,
Okay.
so, fun fact: Army times. I actually have a little traumatic brain injury, little mild traumatic brain injury. Brain injury. So my memory is shit, and it's been getting much better, but it's really really bad. It's from an IED. It's an overpressure injury. So it's the same injury that people get when they surface from scuba diving too fast.
Okay.
So my memory is totally garbage, but it's really weird because semi recently I've been able to kind of stack stuff. So like repeat offenders, I get to know really 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 well and quickly. But it takes me a long time to like when, especially if you've got like a really weird name, even if you tell me your name like 500 times, there's a little fuzzy area that my all that stuff has to get through, and it just doesn't stick if it doesn't make sense. It just sort of pushes it back out this way. So that's a thing. But like I try to make notes for those, and I try to like one lady, and I'm gonna mess her name up, but Danae um, sent me a little video or a little audio clip of how to say her name, and it was perfect. It was perfect. Like that's that stuff. So yeah, no, it's super cool. I do keep notes, but it's been cool to be able to remember some of this stuff. And like Amanda Martin says, like you do an amazing job at remembering small stories. That's a super big hurdle for me to like get to where I'm finally like remembering stuff again. And your brain's a really, really amazing thing. It can repair itself from like tons of really bad injuries. And mine was like teeny, like a little itty bitty one. And seeing noted difference in the last 10 years has been really, really cool.
Well, I would say you do a really, really good job based on listening. Um, like I said, I enjoy listening because it seems like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
and
would
that's
never know that you didn't have a good memory. I actually, when I was stalking you, I actually ran across, and I don't remember the gentleman's name. I did look at his last name, but he had said you were the first person to actually get his last name right. And
yeah,
I should have wrote it down, and I didn't.
there's a
So
handful of those every year. Typically I don't get the hey, you've done really, really well. I typically get the man, you screwed that up. And even to the point where dudes are like mad, and it's like, dude, I'm not doing it on purpose, like I promise you. And it is what it is, but it's fun.
no,
I still enjoy it. Like if 4 people a year are upset, then that means that like 300 are at least mediocre or plus. So like that's good. I'll take those odds every day.
well, to be quick on your feet the way you are, I would, anyone who has something bad to say, I would love to see them in that same position
I've
because
offered that many times actually.
it's not as easy as people think by
Right.
any means. It just
Well, and especially like out of the chat, like, dude, you're not even like you're in your basement. You don't even have a car here. Like, if you at least have a car here, like, walk up to the tower and tell me how to say your name, and then I'll screw it up and feel like a dickhead. But like, you're sitting in your mom's basement and you're telling me that I'm saying someone's name wrong or I'm calling some car some wrong thing. Like, yeah,
and
it's a thing, man. I mean, come over here and give it a go,
you know,
please.
I completely agree. Um, I probably know the answer. And is there a person, an announcer, or someone that inspires you, or maybe you have looked at as a mentor? Someone you might mimic in your announcing.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Bruce Kamada.
Okay.
He, yeah, number one for sure is that guy. Grew up listening to that guy, and he was funny. He was also full of knowledge and information. He knew at the high school drags, he knew every mascot for every high school. It was incredible. Just the encyclopedia of Denver drag racing that dude held, and we talked a bunch and just sort of in passing, and he used to say, like, where else do the little league players get to play at the big league stadium in any sport? Like, you got, we had the Nationals here last week, and you're here running an ET series on Friday. So that's that all set, like, really set deep with me, especially with Bandamere, and that's like, obviously, they're going away. So that's what really makes it sad for me, is that I really, really got a lot from that track, including how to announce from that guy. Like, Kamada was the man. And then to kind of have on top of that, again, Bob Fry at Douglas, and Douglas was cool because Douglas was the same dudes, and it was in the middle of nowhere, and you could kind of say whatever you wanted. I mean, within you can't make it so dudes don't come back, but I mean, if a dude's dragging his like battery charger to the staging lanes, I'm going to tell everyone about him dragging his battery charger to the staging lanes, man, because that's shit that we've all done. Okay. And we all can get a laugh about it because we've been that dude, and we're going to be that dude again in like 2 weeks probably. But like, for now, we're going to get a little cheap laugh at him because he's going to feel like an asshole. But if he knows that everyone's kind of laughing, he's going to know that, like, dude, I made all those people laugh too. So whatever, and watch me, stomp your ass going to the finals. But like, I also learned from them, from Douglas, what not to say. I once said, you guys can't be in the staging lanes. You're mucking up my staging lanes. You can't say muck on a microphone because everyone will assume you said fuck. And they'll come with pitchforks and stuff. And Douglas is a place they shut down for lunch. So noon, shut down, and everyone eats lunch. No, they don't run cars. They don't clean up the track. They don't do nothing. Everyone just stops and you eat. And so right after that, we had a drivers' meeting before first round, and dudes came with pitchforks. They wanted my head on a pike, and I was like, guys, I said muck, and I'll never do that again.
Well, being we're talking about people coming after you for pitchforks, let's how about my car, my girlfriend?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What has that created?
I have no idea. It the live stream, and I think due to, I've got to give credit to Steve Ike, who really started the That's Cool drink in one of the live streams, and he's a dude that raced at Douglas too. And he's actually got a race week entry that he won in a raffle for Katie, I think. Okay. So he's a Mopar guy, and we try not to hold that against him. But no, he's got a Jeep Liberty that he's putting a NASCAR Mopar motor in, and it should be snotty for naturally aspirated small block. But anyway, so Steve came up with That's Cool drink on the live stream when we had like 17 viewers. And every year since, there's been a drinking game that's been surrounded by some crap that I say over and over and over. So it was That's Cool drink. It was, That's neat. I think it's been a ton of stuff. But since I've been bringing Stevie, it's nice for me to get a break in announcing because I know everything about that car and I know everything about that person. So like, I don't need to, typically I use a Excel spreadsheet, and I have to do a Control F, and I find the car number, and then I announce off of that. So I have all of the previous day's results. It's the same exact thing you have on the RMRWers page, the standings page that June does. I have the same exact thing. It's just emailed to me, and I have it. I can get it semi-real time if I can bring it. We have enough bandwidth to bring that in. So like at Bandamere we can, but like at Kearney, Chad would come out of his tower and beat me in the head with a pitchfork if I used any of his bandwidth. So, Just no way to do it real time. But
Sure.
it's nice because it gives me a break. I'm like, I know everything, and I do that with guys and ladies that I know that I have. We've been doing this a long time. So it's nice to get someone I just know, like Travis Martin is coming up. I know everything about Travis Martin
Yep.
and his car and his stuff, and you know, like there's just a bunch of people. There's probably 50 or 100 that I don't even need to. I know their name. I know what they ran. I know what their car does. I have notes for them with runs they do. I got a lot of the note taking stuff, kind of mid event from watching Derek Putnam do it. And Derek's like a legit, like, real life announcer. And I was able to get out to Sick Week. Tom and Luke asked me to come out, which was super cool. It was to be me and Chad from Bang Shift and Brian Loans. Loans couldn't make it, and Derek sat in. And I was really, really disappointed not to get to announce with Loans, but I did get to announce with Derek, and it was super good. That dude is, like I said, like a legit real life announcer, and keeps real life notes, real time notes. Kind of keeps track of who's run the quickest pass of the day, the fastest pass of the day. That stuff I never did until I met him, and Stevie sets me up with a really, really cool like announcing like sheet, and it has post-it notes on it. So I keep all of my notes on post-it notes, and I can keep them all over my area, my like workspace. And so I can kind of keep track of, I keep them in different classes. But that's how I kind of keep track of what's going on. But anyway, long story short, That's Cool Drink came into That's My Car, That's My Girlfriend. And it became a big drinking game. And I like getting the live stream people drunk.
Well, okay. You just mentioned these post-it notes. So that brings me to my next question. What the hell is in the briefcase? I joked with you when I seen you at Denver.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just thought I blew it off. Well, then while I'm stalking you, I'm looking at pictures and you're holding that damn briefcase.
Every race week.
What's in the briefcase?
My standard answer is sex toys and pistols. But it's just a laptop. I mean,
oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
I just thought maybe,
no, sex
Okay.
toys and pistols.
Okay.
If it make there now, so to be 100%, to keep it all real, yeah, I keep a pistol in there. I mean,
well, considering you're messing up people's names, I would hope so.
I'm just saying. I mean, stay strapped, or get clapped, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Let's put up picture 15.
15 is that one. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, this is good on a lot of fronts.
Yeah. How about picture 16? And then you'll know where I'm going with it.
Oh, yeah.
What is this shirt? This goes back to the briefcase, I think.
So this is the ice cream nipple. I did this the year prior to this race week. And the story is that I was driving, I had the Malibu, so no AC. I'm slumming it with the rest of you guys. And it was hotter than, I mean, to quote Vice Grip Garage, Shania Twain in the 90s. And yeah, just no good. No good. And yeah, so we went to Brahms. We were in Oklahoma somewhere, and we went to Brahms. And I came out of that restaurant with this ice cream cone, and it was melting faster than I could eat it. And so I was like, well, I mean, this is a lost cause. Like, we may as well take some stupid ass picture. And if you look at this close, I don't know. I mean, if I knew you were using this, I'd have gotten you the actual picture. But I've got a terrible mustache in this, and it's, I mean, porn star.
I don't think that's the worst.
Terrible.
Picture.
So there's that, and then you add to that I have dipped. Now, this is the second picture we took, by the way. If you look real closely, I put my other nipple in there first.
Oh,
So
yeah,
my other
you're
nipple's actually creamed up currently. And then we took another one, and that was a more regular nipple picture.
regular.
Yeah, and this one ended up, yeah, and I made a funny face and whatever. I put it on the internet because I'm an idiot. And
So is
so
this the one that Amanda Martin is talking about?
probably, yeah, yeah, the best shirt ever
Probably.
for sure. Yeah. So Bill Armstrong, who's a good buddy of mine, got this image from Brad Stapp, a good buddy of mine. And so now I'm wondering, are these actually buddies of mine? But Bill made a ton of shirts, and everywhere I looked, there. I mean, he had to make 50 of them at least. Everywhere I looked, somebody had this shirt, and we're on race week. So this picture is inside the IHOP. So Bill called me and said, "Hey, you got to meet us for breakfast at the IHOP." And I was like, "Sweet, let's go! I can't wait." And I walked in, and there's a table, a whole table, like 15 dudes. Troy Clark, Rich Guido, Bill Armstrong is there. I think Kerry Watson is there. Daryl Yost and his wife. I mean, everybody is wearing this shirt. And I come in and they start going, Adam, Adam, Adam. So I ate spit that day for sure. I mean, for sure. Yeah, Ed Hohenberg was there. Hell yeah, Ed. Yeah, Ed has that. I have that shirt. I still have that shirt. I can't. You can't donate that shirt. You got to throw that shirt away, and I'm not throwing that shirt away. Shirt's too badass. The other thing to note in that is I'm wearing my Peckham Mafia shirt. So shout out to Krusty, fighting the good fight.
Oh, yeah.
He's going through it right now too. So yeah, give it up for Krusty.
No. Things you learn.
So yeah, that ice cream nipple shirt, and that was super fun. That was the year that Brad, my co-pilot, got to drive Bill Leake's dad, Clay, has a 55 Chevy 2-lane blacktop car, and Brad got to drive that car.
Oh, very cool.
And that was like more fun than even like competing in race week, in my opinion. At that point, it was really cool to like give him a like, dude, you get to drive your like dream car.
That's cool. That's very cool.
That is drink.
Oh, yeah, drink. So I got a serious question for you.
Okay.
If you had to pick announcing or participating.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
I had a feeling that would be tough.
That's a tough one. Yes is my answer.
Okay.
You can't go wrong either way. I think announcing because and it just really depends. It really depends. If it's race week, I'm the announcer. Take it or leave it.
Yep.
We're gonna look at possibly, and this will be the sneak peek for the dozens of viewers we have. I'm gonna look at maybe getting the Malibu for the final race week at Bandamere, and I think I might compete and figure out Chad announcing while I'm not.
No, that would work.
And then I mean we'll just enter it twice, so Stevie will run it in something, and I'll run it in something else. But we'll just pit it up by the tower everywhere, and I'll jump down and make a pass, and Chad will call my pass and the 2 passes before me and the 2 passes after me, and then I'll be back. But yeah, I think it's got faceplates in the transmission. It's a 6-speed T56, but it's faceplated. You just need to know how to downshift it. Upshifting, it's easy. It just happens automatically. The downshifting, it's going to go in the gear that you put it in. Whatever. Like, I mean, it's not like synchros. It's going to happen. And if it happens too far apart, it breaks.
Okay.
And I don't really want to deal with that while trying to do everything else. So I just need to teach her how to downshift it. and once, and I'll drive the whole thing, the whole route, because the street driving does take a little bit of finesse with it, but racetrack driving is easy. So yeah, we're gonna try that out, I think, and at a very minimum, I'm gonna bring it to Bandamere, and I'm gonna take a few licks on the track with it when we're
Cool.
there.
Very cool. Well, you did good for my segue here. Let's talk some cars.
All right.
What got you into the cars?
So really, it goes back to I'll bring up my old man. That dude was a Ford dude, and he was a Ford van guy. He was a weird cat. So my me was, well, at first I tried a Ford. My first car was a 71 Ford Mustang, and it had rust holes big enough in the quarter panels that I locked the keys in the trunk once, and I got them out with a claw hammer. So, I mean, that'll give you a pretty good idea of the quality of this automobile. But I ended up parting that thing out before I even really drove it. We drove it a little bit and went mudding in it and stupid shit that like 14-year-old kids do when you steal your own car. You know, whatever. But I parted that thing out and made some money. But then I got into Warren Tech. It's a vocational school for high school. You earn high school credits by learning a vocation. So I went to auto mechanics, and in the auto mechanics program, they said, go out and get an auto job, even if it's just changing oil. So I got a job changing oil, and the mechanic at the shop was my buddy Steve, and he's still my buddy. He's staying at my house this weekend to race King Street this weekend as well. He's probably watching. He might not be. He typically calls or texts me in the middle of this, and he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot you were on your thing." But he's probably getting his car ready, to be honest, or his truck, because his truck needs work too. But yeah, that dude got me into cars. He had the same car, a 70 Chevelle. Just it ran like 14s at the time. And then I met a bunch of dudes in that auto program and kind of around that auto program that just got me into cars. And all of a sudden I had car friends. And so I was doomed to be poor the rest of my life.
Yeah. So were you into cars first, or I noticed while stalking, you had a lot of four-wheeling?
Yeah, I was into four-wheeling first, just because you could have one vehicle to do all of your driving, wintertime, summertime, four-wheeling, etc. So we got into four-wheeling pretty good, and my buddy Nick, who lives in Missouri now, kind of went off of his direction, and he does all the really, really like hardcore, four-wheeling type stuff. And we've got a car car crew club that we built in the process of stuff. We call it the Rod Chuckers. And then his little split off is the Rock Chuckers. But the Rod Chucker guys were crazy good at car stuff, and it was just happenstance. I was making fun of this dude's last name, and it was Van Lanningham, and I was going blam blanning blam or something like that. And I think we almost got into a fight, but then he was like, "Whatever, you might be kind of cool." And we ended up hanging out. And so the Van Lanninghams taught me a ton. Dave was my buddy, and then his brother was Andrew, and then the little brother was Dan, and Larry was their dad. But Larry was old school OG. He's like Lanier Henry. He's that dude. He's got all the machines. He'll spend all day to make a tool instead of going and buying one for $7. That's how this dude rolls. And the whole family brought me from like I could do an oil change and I kind of knew what was going on with cars and whatnot to like cars, engines, like the gamut. And so I was baptized by the best. These dudes were crazy. They would make their own pistons and make rings out of leather, and they had big like one lung, like crazy open connecting rod, like huge 200-pound flywheels on these, like it's just insane, like the coolest crap you ever saw. And they just had like 100 of them, and they were Mopar guys. So all Mopars, and they had all these weird Hemis and weird Mopar stuff. Like Mopar made a big block 350 only in 1957 with a solid cam and dual quads, and it made 350 horsepower. It was the first engine to ever do it, but it was only in like one thing. But they had like two of them. These guys were wild, and yeah, so they built some cool stuff. They had a lot of neat stuff, and they had friends that were car dudes. And one of their buddies lives over off Golden Road and 19th, there, kind of where the Golden Cruise is.
Yeah.
But he's got 32 and 34 Fords like crazy. But they used to do a deal called Beer 30, and this dude would typically host it. And he had a sprint car hanging from the ceiling of his shop. It had a motor in it and everything, and it would drip oil and stuff occasionally. But this dude had more machine stuff than any machine shop I've ever seen. But these dudes were OG, and they're still around, and they're old as shit. And it's just, I wonder how many people they taught their stuff, because like it would be a shame if they died with all of it.
You're
Like
right.
the knowledge that they've got and the knowledge that they've kept and the abilities that they have. And yeah, they're just amazing dudes. And I learned a ton from them guys.
That is pretty cool.
Drake.
Let's put up picture 17.
Where are we at here? 17. Oh, there's the old Firebird.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is I was still in the Army in this. So this would have been like 2008.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is my old Firebird, and I bought this thing from my buddy Andre, and you can see the kind of the air cleaner hanging out of the hood there. But when I bought it, it was blown injected. And that's where I met Lanier, and I met you remember Tack?
Yeah.
I met Tack. A bunch of the that was the first time I really knew of Matt Frost. They had a little group called the Colorado Bad Outlaws.
Yep.
And they were all blown alcohol door slammer cars. And I bought this thing right after my mom passed. I got a little bit of inheritance money. I bought a house, and I bought that stupid car. And it was a total race car. And I had the Malibu at the same time. The Malibu is kind of a funny story. My mom had a 79 Monte Carlo, which is a G body. And I was looking for a 79 Monte Carlo, and it had a Landau top. And I've got one picture somewhere of her with a ski rack on the top of it at Loveland. So, I mean, she drove this freaking G body. We called it the Mommy Carlo. But I was looking for one of those and couldn't find one for shit. So I bought the Malibu, and I was like, this is going to be my car. Like, I'm going to build this into like my mom kind of tribute car. It's a Landau. It's perfect. It's like the car.
Good. Let's put up picture 20.
Oh,
while you're telling us about it.
Yeah, totally. 20. Bam. There's the Malibu. Yep. And this is the first time I brought it out on 28-inch tires. It's always had 26-inch tires. And I brought it out on 28s with this, but that's the Malibu. So yeah, I bought that as like kind of a little throwback to my mom. And it was I had this, and I had and I had the Firebird at the same time. Right at first. And I was just trying to figure out which one I wanted to hang on to. And the streetcar won. The Firebird was faster. It had the potential to be, like a really, really good bracket car. In the configuration it sits here, I took the blower and injector off, and I just slapped an alcohol carb on it, and it has no radiator or anything in it. And I bracket raced it. It was like a high 10-second car. And it was a really fun car for a year or so. But the full race car deal to me is just way less fun. Like, you can put this on a trailer and bring it to a racetrack if you want to, but like, you can't just drive that to the racetrack.
How about picture 18?
Yeah, bracket racing the thing. This was at Pink's All Out.
Wow.
When it was in Denver. And I loved the premise of that. And actually, I ended up, see all the stickers all over it? I ended up getting
Mhm.
my entry from Jay Kidwell at the carburetor shop. So he gave me a ton of stickers and said, just put these stickers on your car and I won't charge any money for the entry, which was awesome. But I ended up taking this on the back of my open trailer with my 91 and a half Dodge Cummins diesel and took it to Phoenix. And I was going to do pinks in Phoenix because I had a blast. I thought that was like the most fun I ever had. And I got picked for the 32 car field in Phoenix, but that Dodge blew the yoke off the transfer case and tossed the drive shaft out of it at like 2 in the morning in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
No.
So I called this. I mean, this thing's like I bought it's a freaking show car. It sticks out like a sore thumb in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yes, it does.
So I called this tow company and I said, I've got this shit car or this shit truck, but this like show car, and I need you to it's got to be under like lock and key, dude, because that's all the money I got in the world right there. And yeah, so they sent this like huge lifted up truck, and these guys were cool as hell. They let us stay like at their place that night, and had it all locked up the whole time. We ended up in a hotel. I ended up renting a U-Haul truck, like a Penske truck, and towed it the rest of the way to Phoenix. Got picked in the 32 and then lost, and then towed it back to Santa Fe, expecting to pick up my truck fixed and ready to go because I left it at a trans shop. And this was like pre-cell phones. Like, I mean, cell phones were out, but it wasn't like a thing. I just left a note and said, fix my effing truck, and then I'll be back to pick it up. Well, they didn't touch it. They never called me, nothing. Like, nothing happened. My truck's just sitting there dead. So me and my Army buddy, Mike Sillick, sat in Santa Fe, New Mexico, waiting for this place to fix my truck. And we were just staying in this like no-tell motel and eating it like, out for three meals a day. And I didn't have any money so this is all like on credit. And I'm like borrowing money from him. Like it's not good. Like bad case scenario. But
I bet you had your briefcase though, right?
no, pre briefcase. This the briefcase came when I became a sales guy. But
so what year was that?
Shoot.
2007, 2008, you think?
Something like that. Something like that.
So
but yeah, my buddy
there.
Jeff Stemmis drove down from Colorado Springs with a truck and a trailer and another truck on the trailer on Thanksgiving to come get me in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I owe that dude like to the end of the world for doing that crap. That was pretty amazing.
No.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just trying to put together because we actually were there at that race.
Okay. Yeah,
and
totally.
We couldn't slow down enough to meet what their criteria was.
Right.
But Joey got a huge interview at however old he was at that point. At the time.
That was totally that. You like see the speed and the stickers gave it away. But yeah, that's totally what that was pinks, and they chose like a 12-second field or something like that, and I was like, man, that sucks. But yeah, then I went, like I said, I went to Phoenix and got picked in that first little bit, and I got like this much on the show. It was very cool.
That's pretty cool though. Any time's good time.
Hell yeah. This side of the lawn, baby.
So you have a car that you regret selling or wish you had back. I noticed you had, is it a Chrysler?
I did.
Some giant car on your page.
Yeah. I no, I don't regret selling that thing for a second. That was a poor decision, but I traded a gun for that car. So, and I think I only paid a couple $100 for that gun. So, no big deal to me. That was a 60 Chrysler Imperial. All my buddies have been Mopar dudes, and I kind of wanted a Mopar, but I wanted something different and wacky. But my probably the one would be back in the day. I had two cars. I had my Monza, That was my first like hot rod. I got that car back. So I did sell it, and I would say my Monza, but I found that car thanks to Andre, who sold me the Firebird actually. But thanks to Andre, I have that car back, and it's at FM Fab. Vince Rui is going to do an 850 cage in that car for me. So
Okay.
I have that car back. But the other car I had that was kind of right around that time was a 59 Chevy, and it was a 4-door. But I had a 348, and it was like kind of it was a shit box, but it was like rat rotted. The guy
Yep.
had, heated the springs up and lowered the thing way down. The 348 ran great, but it had been wrecked a couple of times, so the front end was all jacked up, and I was gathering parts for it. But I loved that car. It had some like crazy stuff. It was a it was a Bel Air, so it was not an Impala.
Yep.
It was a Bel Air, but it had some like weird, like crazy options that like typically only like the highest end Impala, like which would be a 348, three deuce, you know, probably a 4-speed car. Um, but it had like a vacuum ashtray. So you would put your cigarette in the ashtray and then you
Mhm.
would push it in and then push it one step further and it would vacuum the ashes onto the ground,
Wow.
like underneath the car. It was crazy. It had the Wonder Bar stereo, so
Yep.
if you couldn't get it totally dialed in exactly where you wanted on the AM, it gave you a little finite adjuster, so you could get it
Yeah.
really, really close and tune in your station exact. It had some cool stuff, and I don't miss that car, but I would love to have another 59, and I would probably even maybe do a 4-door because that was what I had, and it was
Yep.
kind of neat to have the 4-door. But kind of back in a couple of years ago, I was looking to trade my Cadillac for a 55. I've always been into 55s, but at the time I was like either a 55 or a 59, like either or. And 59s are outrageous now. Like you can even get like a decent 55, a decent Tri 5, for 10K, but 59s are like 30K for anything. It's wild to me because I would rather have a 55. I know you're 56, dude, and
It's okay.
I'm not holding that
No,
against you, but the 55 is just, I mean, that it's 2 lane and it's American Graffiti, and
it
that's
is. It is. Most definitely. So obviously you know about the Monza. Do you have any plans of building anything in the future?
I have a motor built for the Cadillac. It is done, or it should be done at the machine shop. He actually he assembled it for me for a wedding present, which was pretty cool. I typically assemble my own stuff, but he said, "Let me put this one together for you for nothing." So I mean, that's like $1,000. I mean, giddy up, and that
Yeah.
stuff sucks. So
No.
yeah, you put it together. That sounds perfect. So I've got a little 383 that I built for it. It won't be anything like wicked or anything like that, but it does have like a Lunati crank and rods in it and Molle pistons, and I'm not sure on the cam yet. I was thinking I was just going to switch the cam over, but now that we're moving and we don't have to deal with emissions, I might do a little bit snottier cam in it just cause. But yeah,
Sure.
I've got that going. I'm building the chassis for the Monza. I think its ultimate goal is to be a rowdy radial type car. I want to do a little 235 stuff with it. It'll probably be just a turbo LS deal. It's currently a small block Chevrolet Gen 1 with a carb on it, and we'll do that until it doesn't exist anymore. But it'll just be a bracket car for now. It'll be a fun little. They've got a eighth mile track up at Sturgis, so
Oh, that's right.
yep. So we'll do that with that Monza a little bit, and then eventually I'll do something with it. I think that's the plan for the motor out of the Cadillac is to put into the Monza because it's an aluminum block, and that car's already going to weigh like nothing. I think with the 6-point cage that was in it before, with me in it and with a full tank of gas, it was 2,700 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So it should probably be somewhere in that realm with a chromoly 850 cage and an aluminum block. So maybe even a little lighter. So it shouldn't take much to make it move pretty good.
That'll be cool.
Hell yeah.
So, if money was no object, what would you build? Would you build a cruiser, a hot rod, drag and drive car, 4-wheel drive?
God. I'm so enthralled in the drag and drive. I think it would have to be a drag and drive car.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, it would be to have to obviously run all the other events because competing and announcing couldn't be a thing. So it would be, I mean, sick week type of stuff. If I don't, sick summer, if I'm not invited there or whatever,
Sure.
it would be just, bringing stuff on those. And really it's because the community is so good. I've told a lot of people, even veterans, like, the camaraderie is something that I've never felt since the Army. Like, it's a different thing. Bracket racers will tell you that, hey, we're doing this and we're doing this, but really it's all under their breath with their fingers
Right.
crossed behind their back. Like they just want to get, the win the next round. But like dudes like Tom Stark will give the guy in front of him the transmission out of his shop, brand new. Here's the code to my shop. Go over there. Those guys will give you a transmission. You can come back down here and put it in your truck and then beat me. Like, that ain't stuff that exists anywhere. So I think it would need to be a drag and drive car. I mean, I don't know, dude. Money, no object.
Yep.
I mean, I would go to Larson's place and tell him to write out whatever he wanted for the Nova.
That's a good choice. I like that.
And honestly, like, even without you sitting on the other side of me, you'd be my second stop. But you'd have to put the Lenko in it.
Oh my goodness.
So, and same deal with Larry. That car's got to have the Lenko in it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that'll ever change, but who knows?
Yep.
It definitely makes the cars more fun to drive.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't win a lot with a stick or with a clutch even. I mean, you do some, but I don't know. It's just it's a different thing. You're working your ass off. It's Frank Romano shit.
Yep. Well, I honestly could say my car
You've been
was
quicker.
faster
Yeah.
by 0.2 with the Lenko than we ever were with the automatic.
Yeah.
It just became the point of how much you want to work on it.
And that's that's it.
And I'm not, there's a point where I'm done. So automatic was an easier way to participate.
And that's, I mean, the Mons will be an automatic. It's just, I mean, at a certain point, you become, I mean, Bill and Rich, I mean, they could put automatics in their car and go 750, the pair. I mean, no joke, but they do it because it's the best way to drive it on the street.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely the most fun. I can tell you that you can't beat when the Lenko's in the car. I mean, it's way better to drive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, none of the heat. Just, yeah, it's a whole different thing.
That it is. Hobbies. Do you have any other hobbies outside of cars and announcing?
Man, I used to have a ton of stuff. I used to mountain bike. I used to kayak. I thrashed my body, jumping out of airplanes for 9 years. Just jacks you up a little bit. So my knees and my back are just not what they should be. So, so a lot of that stuff I just had to kind of give up, unfortunately. I'm terrible at it, but I do golf a little bit with work, and I enjoy hanging out in, on the beautiful grass and in a nice area and having a couple of brews with some dudes and hitting houses with balls. It's fun, man. It's a good time.
Well, earlier you told us your brother was the athletic one. However, I would assume jumping out of a plane far surpasses an athletic person.
Oh, it's such a different thing. And here's the funny thing is I'm afraid of heights. And people don't like they always say like, wait, you were a paratrooper. But yeah, it's different. Like you're people that are afraid of heights aren't afraid of heights in a plane. I mean, it's the same. You're sitting on a chair until you're not. So there's about, 4 minutes where you're scared out of your mind because you're standing up in a plane and there's a door open. Um, but once you get out, I mean, your chute's going to open or you have the rest of your life to figure it out, which might be 6 or 8 seconds. I mean, so it's just a different thing. But the Army used to tell me two things fall out of the sky: bird shit and fools. And here I am.
Well, we'll get into some stuff that was brought up to me, kind of questions and things like that. You enjoy sports?
I do. I love sports. I'm a
You-
Denver Broncos guy. I'm a native. So love me some Broncos. I'm super happy the Nuggets just won. I'm not like the biggest Nuggets fan, but I remember going to Nuggets games in Boy Scouts and stuff like that. And I actually took Stevie to a playoff game here this last year while they
I
were
seen
playing the
that.
Suns, and she had a blast. She'd never seen professional sport ever, and so it was a kind of a cool thing. But yeah, I'm a sports guy for sure. I love sports. I like watching them. I don't really play them.
Yeah. Well, how about we get picture 21 up? You can guess where this picture came from.
Yeah, yep. And that's why I'm drinking a natural light. That's right.
Um,
Yeah, fucking Skeletor, Don McGinnis.
yes, Don McGinnis. Now, he told me you guys had a bet. It went awry, but then he told me you guys ended up making donations to charities.
Yeah, so it turned out that I ended up owing him. Well, so we bet on every Broncos and Chiefs game. And if you're not a football guy, we're in the same division, so we play twice a year. So we had $20 and we doubled or nothing it for, I mean, over and over, and the Broncos just got worse and worse and worse, and the Chiefs got better and better and better. So I think it came to where I owed that guy like $3,000 or something, and I was never going to pay him $3,000 because I don't. I mean,
He would
McGinnis, I
just
love
buy
you,
beer anyway.
but you never. No, it got to like $300, like for real, and it was it was a little ridiculous. So we went to. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll buy you and your wife dinner at race week at the beginning of race week next year, and then we'll call it even. And he was like, great. But ever since then, yes, we do a donation bet, and I've adopted this with a few other folks. It's a really cool way to bet with someone, especially long distance, because moving money around, although it's not that hard, you may as well just give it to someone that actually needs it. And yeah, so I've donated to Slick Rick, which is the Kansas City Children's Hospital fund, where Shelby was receiving all his treatments. And
Okay.
so rest in peace, Shelby. That was a tough deal, and I know Don's, dealing with that, and it's a bad deal for him. But it's the only kind of silver lining over the last few years of us just getting the dog shit kicked out of us in football is that I get to make a donation in memory of Shelby McGinnis, and one day he will make a donation to the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. But damn it, it just hasn't happened yet.
Well, I'm on your side for that because I've ended up on the wrong side of bets with the Kansas people. They are like the rivalry with that football, and I'm not a football fan, so
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't matter to me.
No, see
However,
that's all they have to live for because they live in Kansas City.
yes.
I mean, if you've ever been to Kansas City, then you know.
Oh, and it's the wrong Kansas City that they're
Right.
from.
They're I mean, come on, man. There's a right one and a wrong one, and it doesn't have the freaking state name in it, right?
No, and it doesn't have the stadium in it either.
Right, right. So I mean, yeah, it's all good because I mean, we killed them like I mean nonstop through the '80s, and John Elway was their kryptonite. So every single year he played, they got this same treatment. So, whatever, man. I'll take my ribbon, and we'll be back. We're gonna be back one
Yeah,
day. Probably not this year, but one day.
one day. So I did have a few questions from folks. I figured I'd have more, but I have a few here. I got Rick Stanky Honk wanted me to tell you hi.
Oh yeah, yeah. Rick's a good dude. I hung out with Rick a little bit in sick week, and that's when we gave Jeff Oppenheim all that money when he was going to get his cochlear implant put in.
Oh, no.
And guys, I mean, if you've never done a drag and drive, like this is the stuff that dudes do for each other on this stuff. It's wild, but the whole group got together, and I mean, this dude burned his El Camino down a couple of years ago, and everyone kind of pitched together and got all his stuff put back together so he could finish. But either way, he needed a cochlear implant, or he's wanted a cochlear implant because he's been deaf since he was a kid, and he couldn't work for a while after. So all these drag week dudes got together and got, I don't even know what it was, like $25,000 or something ridiculous to give to him at sick week. It was awesome, man. So like, yeah, this is stuff that doesn't exist anywhere else. It's awesome. Super awesome.
No. And speaking of that, Jeff is actually driving a Suburban out here for me starting Monday.
I heard that.
And he's getting a tour, or he's hoping to get a tour of the Cochlear plant up in Lone Tree.
Cool.
So he's pretty darn excited. So hopefully we'll see if he actually is able to do it. But that's what he was excited to be able to come out here. He wants to go on the tour of the plant. So
yeah, and I had Jeff out. When was it? It had to be 2020, probably. Something like that. It was in the middle of COVID. So it was 20 or 21, maybe early 21. And he just decided he was going to drive to Bonneville. So he flew into Denver and he got a rental car and he drove to Bonneville with a bunch of different stops in the way. But he stayed at my place for a night, and I got him a tent and I got him the chair. And if you ask him about the chair, you'll know it's the best camping chair on the planet. It's a Coleman aluminum frame chair that folds out, and it's got canvas on the butt and on the back, but it has a little aluminum like side table that you can fold up, and it has a little, that you can clock it in. But he sat and with my tent popped and on this chair made himself peanut butter and jelly sandwiches somewhere near Bonneville, and sent me a picture of it, and he was like as happy as he's ever been, and it was a very cool deal to like have just a little part of that.
No, that is awesome. I didn't realize. I'll veer off here, I guess. I didn't realize, and it came up at race week here just a couple weeks ago, about how the pandemic had a drastic effect on him, and I didn't realize. I wasn't sympathetic to it because if you know Jeff, he read lips,
right?
And during the pandemic, everyone wore masks.
Totally. And you couldn't.
He had a heck of a time. Just going to the grocery store was the most miserable time for him. And it was something that I had never thought about until it was brought up to me. And I thought, I never even thought, even realized that, we're all busy complaining about having to wear masks. And Jeff's out there trying to just function day to day. When you take, he obviously he didn't have hearing, and now you took away his only way to communicate.
Right, and I don't even know if he signs. I'm not sure if he even has that ability. I think he can, like a little bit, but he's relied so much on his lip reading and his ability still to talk to get him through. And yeah, I think you're totally right. That had such a big change on him that he realized, like, I have to be able to hear. And yeah, he had his first failure of that device. I think I just saw he posted something about that, but it's been a cool to watch his journey and watch all those people kind of rally around him and get him through it. That was a very cool deal.
No, it's all the drag and drive community without a doubt.
100%.
Anthony Hamlin. He
Mhm.
wants to know, what is your favorite pizza?
Okay. I'm a pepperoni and onion.
Okay. What's your favorite color?
Oh God. On what?
I
I like
he didn't ask that. I didn't. Who knows? Just let's keep it G rated.
I like green.
Green. Okay.
I'm a green.
Well.
I mean, and I think that's Malibu stuff because that's 70s green. That car's green on green too. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and I got Michelle in the background, and she mentioned a towel when we were talking about the color. Um, I ran across a picture, and you have to forgive me if I'm incorrect, but you were popping out of a tank, and you
Mhm.
had a terrible towel,
Yep.
which I know is for Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Did it have another meaning?
So I lost a bet. That was our trip out to Iraq, and the Broncos were playing the Steelers in the AFC Championship
Oh,
game. So I was on the plane with a ton of dudes that were Pittsburgh Steeler fans. So yeah, we had, I can't even remember what the hell bet we had on, but one of the parts of it was I think I had to do 1,000 push-ups
oh God.
in like sections. I didn't have to do them all at like once, but every time I saw him, I had to knock out like 50 of them or something like that. And I had to get pictures of me with the stupid Steelers hat on and the terrible towel out. But yeah, so that I lost that bet because we ended up having plane trouble and we landed in Moron, Spain, Moron, Moron. But I mean, it's Moron,
Yeah.
Spain, and we ended up there for I think we were overnight in Moron, and and we got to watch the end of that game, and I lost. So
Mm.
when we got that was us in Iraq, and we're taking pictures with the stupid terrible towel, but the guy in the desert uniform in that picture,
Yeah.
that's Mike Hosey, and Mike Hosey was killed in Iraq. So yeah, so that was the last kind of like hangout we had. He died years later, but it was on another deployment uh, in Iraq with I think he was with First Group. Yeah, he was with First Group out of Washington State. But yeah, we only hung out a little while, and then he deployed off with his team somewhere else. We were in Baghdad that first trip, and they were out doing whatever. We had a pretty cush first deployment, really. All said and done. But yeah, unfortunately, he was killed. I think in it probably would have been like 2012 or something like that.
Oh,
Big Block Bob, is it pistachio or winter mint green? Have you seen his Nova?
I don't believe so.
He's got
Yes.
a he's got a freaking winter mint green Nova.
Yes, I have followed him. I This year I don't know if they're having issues, but that car is loud.
Super loud. Yeah,
Super
nitrous car.
loud. And
Nitrous car. And it's
I
like
don't
extra loud.
yeah, but I followed him, let's see, race week, I don't know, maybe last year through the mountains. I followed him through we were in the rain up, I don't even remember where we were at when we left Bannerman. So I do know the car, and now the name rang a bell because I remember seeing either something on their license plate or something. So
Yeah, they've got really good shirts. That's Bob Rupel. Yeah, Big Block Bob on YouTube. But
okay.
I called it pistachio a couple of times, and then I believe his wife corrected me on the live stream and said that it was winter mint green. But he rides with his son as well, and they're the all Bob race team.
Oh
You could be the all Joe race team,
yeah, something like that.
something like that.
um, okay. Anthony had one more question. What is your favorite car memory?
Oh God, I have so many. Um, so many times with the rod checkers, all them idiots just doing stupid stuff. But the very best was total. Yeah, we went out for dinner one night, and it's weird that we went to Red Lobster, but we went to Red Lobster because none of us had any money. There's no reason we need to be eating $15 worth of shrimp scampi, but we're eating $15 worth of shrimp scampi. Let's make it happen. But I was in my Monza, and I had my buddy Andrew in the car with me, and at the time it was the fastest car we had in like our club, and it wasn't wicked fast, but it was in the 13s on the motor, and it ran like 1180 on a little 125 shot, and it was a fun little, I mean, just shit box. It was 3 different colors of red, and yeah, I mean, it was a great street race car because it's single exhaust until you uncapped it, and then it's whatever. But we pulled in front of Red Lobster, and that car was running like garbage. And I don't even know. I mean, it had to be a full, like 2-minute high gear burnout in the parking lot of the Red Lobster, and the ventilation system sucked all the smoke inside. And then some dude opened the door, and the wind was just right that it pulled every, iota of smoke from that burnout directly into the Red Lobster. And they called the fire department because they thought my car was on fire. So the fire department showed up, and I had to tell them that the throttle stuck. And and there were people like coming out like, cover your mouth, oh my God. And we just waltzed in and we ate Red Lobster, and then I scooped all the rubber from the one tire, because it had one tire peel at the time. I scooped it all up into a Taco Bell bag, and it was the bottom like 2 inches of a Taco Bell bag, and I needed new tires. So
And you did this before you ate.
Yeah. So we ate a lot of spit that night. Yep. Yeah, was not thinking that one through. But yeah, that was it. The best part with it was there was a lot of witnesses. So a lot of people tell their version of that same story. And it's pretty much the same thing, except that, I was watching the car disappear in smoke, and then witnessed the actual, like, it was like a tornado going into the ventilation system, and then realized that we were in trouble.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, that was good. That's the only time I've had a fire truck called on me for doing a burnout, but it was worth it. And then we ate there because we're idiots.
Well, I got 2 more questions, and then we'll kind of sign off here. You answered this one, I believe, but I figured I'd mention Corey Wells wanted to know if you would ever let Stevie drive anything else besides your Cadillac. And obviously you answered that earlier. And
yeah, she hasn't yet. And really just because of the transmission. If it had synchros, then I really would have no issue with it at all. It will be a bit faster than what she's used to, but I mean, whatever. It's still not going to be wicked fast. I don't even know what it's going to run. It might run in the 12s up here. So the fastest thing she's driven to this point is the Cadillac. And I think she's gone about 1380s in it, something like that. There's a funny story about that too. When we first decided to bring the Cadillac, we took it up to Oahe Speedway, which is on the other side of South Dakota from where she's at. So it's about a 4-hour drive, maybe. It might even be more than that. I don't even know. But we drove the car. I drove the car up to Rapid City, picked her up, and then the next morning we drove out to Oahe, and I took her for a couple of passes on testing the time trials or whatever, and just sort of, here's how you race it, here's how you shift it, here's how everything goes. And then she went out and won her class bracket racing it the first time she ever set foot in that car, and it was fast. It sounded good. People were like, she was the only stick car in the entire class, and beat up on all these automatic dudes with, like, race car. It was like Sportsman, but it was like their race cars, open headers. And yeah, we drove this thing 4 or 6 hours or something like that. And then we drove it 4 or 6 hours back. And then I drove it another 4 or 6 hours back to Denver. And it was, that was a very cool deal to watch her go out there and win that race in this brand new car with a stick. And she wheeled it all day. And I think that was kind of when I decided, like, probably going to marry her. Like, it was pretty funny too. Like, they thought the whole family was there. Her whole family was up there and they were watching and whatnot. and they watched the car make a pass, and then they were all kind of meandering around waiting for it to pull back in. And I came walking up, and they were all like, "Wait a second, didn't you just?" And I was like, "No, that was Stevie." And they're like, "What?" And if you've never met Stevie, like, she's an introvert, she's pretty quiet. You wouldn't really, she doesn't really fit the mold of, like, I mean, hammering gears, and she gets rubber in third gear and shit. And I mean, she wheels the hell out of that car, and it's awesome. It's a really cool thing to watch. And I mean, like, you got a little bit of that with watching Joey race,
Yep.
and you will with Michelle, no doubt. It's a different thing doing it, and then watching someone that you love do it. It's a very cool and humbling thing, even if they're in, like a slow car or whatever. And when they do it and they do really well, it's win-win. Oh yeah, Stevie, best weekend ever. Yeah, it was super cool. It was really, really cool. And yeah, like I said, that was when I was like, probably gonna marry that girl.
All she had to do is win a race.
Yeah, go out in a stick car and win a freaking bracket race against a bunch of automatics. That was pretty good.
Does she drive the car faster than you?
She's been faster. She's been 2/10 faster than me in my own shit.
Wow.
Yep.
So maybe she should. I would say you should probably just stay in the announcer booth then for
I
2.0.
mean, yeah, she kills it. She kills it for sure. But I do think I need to get. I mean, we'll see, man. I with Bandamere going away, race week's going to be a different thing. The only hub track we have out here now is Pueblo that we can use, and that's a good thing, like it is. But we need Pueblo.
I
So
agree.
it's the only way that we can make race week, Rocky Mountain race week, Rocky Mountains at all. And so yeah, it's gonna be a cool thing to get her into the car and do it with the Malibu, I think, because it'll be its last shot at Bandamere and on a, you know, OG Rocky Mountain Race Week that includes that track. So, and that's nothing against Pueblo. Those dudes rock. I love Pueblo, but I bought my house here because of where Bandamere is. Like, and that's not, I mean, yeah, it just is what it is. So getting it back out on that is going to be a cool deal. And then she'll, kind of have the training wheels on a little bit because I'll be driving it as well, and she can kind of work through whatever she needs to work through. And then if it goes well, then I mean, shoot, she might just drive that.
No, that's cool.
Drink.
Hey, so picture 22.
Oh,
We're gonna add a couple things here.
Oh, cool.
This is from Danny Romanowski. This is Michaela.
Yep, Michaela Marietta.
Yep, Young Guns Award. Tell me about the Young Guns Award, because obviously I've been to race week, done race week, spectated, and I don't know what Young Guns is.
So it's super cool. This was a deal I just came up kind of out of my own. I do a rookie of the year and a Young Guns, and it's really a good way for. And I'm actually in this one. I'm holding Fireball in my hand. I'm not sober, I believe, in this photo. Either way,
that kind of goes along with your mornings and
yeah, it happens. It happens sometimes. By 9:30, you got to be drunk. It's okay. It's Florida. You're on vacation. But no, so I start with 250 of my own bucks. I just go to the ATM and start with 250. And then I beg, borrow, and steal money. And I just created a couple of like side awards, if you will. Now I've got Red Hat Scotty from Questionable Performance Solutions making a trophy every year for it. And he also does a Perseverance Award as well, but he's kind of gotten involved with this as well. But a Rookie of the Year is no drag and drive driver before ever. So you can't have been in a sick week or a drag week or a Midwest drags, or your very first one is on Rocky Mountain Race Week with us this week to qualify. And then Young Guns is you could have competed in a billion of them, but if you're 21 or younger by the last day, then you qualify for that as well. And the last couple of years, I think this year we had almost $4,000. it was wild. I mean, it's just people coming out of the woodwork, and they just, I mean, put this toward the rookie and young gun. Like it's just such a cool deal because that is the future. Like this girl went out after this and won a Wally. They made her a special sticker that is the young gun sticker, and then what I do is I have the rookie and the young gun pick the following year young gun. So she chose Kelly Hoff, who is awesome, and she chose Caleb Dorn. So I've got this kind of like list of these under 21 or brand new folks, and like the rookie of the year last year was Harvey Janice. So it was Garrett Mitchell was the first one, and then Jamie Langford won the second one out of PFI Speed. He gave it to Harvey Janice, and Harvey gave it to Brent Levistad. So it's kind of stayed in that PFI kind of world here a little bit, and that's kind of a side deal with the hanging out with the people you hang out with because you watch them do their thing, which is what it is. I don't care. It's yours. You give it out to whoever you want to give it out to. But this was cool. This was my first rookie of the year, and I think she got. Shoot, I don't even know. Over at this point, it was maybe $1,200. And then this year, I had so much money that I gave the rookie half, and then I split Young Gun twice. So I gave one of the Young Guns to a junior street racer, which I typically don't do. It's for folks that are in their own car competing for their first time. So it was cool to split it, and Blaine got half. Blaine Stark got half as well. And so Caleb will choose next year. If we have enough money, then we'll do another junior street as well, and Caleb will also pick that person. But it's just super cool because it's like anything, like whatever you love is only one generation away from being gone, and we really need to celebrate those people that are just now getting into it, and bringing their kids to this kind of thing, and raising them to be idiots like us, because it goes away without them. So I really, really like to, give them a little something extra. Thanks for being here. You are appreciated, and keep doing what you're doing because, again, in our lifetime, we could watch this die, and I don't want to.
Very true. Well, I have two questions for you.
Okay.
For you to ponder. The first one, what's the future for you and Stevie? Obviously, you're going to get married. You guys plan on kids or what?
Nope. No kids. No kids. That was our very first conversation was, do you want kids? I'm like, at this point, I assume I'll be raising somebody else's kids, but no, I don't really want kids. And she was like, I don't want kids, man. So we're really enjoying being aunt and an uncle. Stevie's a brand new aunt. Wiley, her nephew was just born 2 months ago, and we got to hang out with him this weekend. He was in town. His parents went to the Blink-182 concert, and the grandparents watched the kid, but we just gave them a locale to do it because we're out with that. In fact, when that kid's crying, we high five each other. Yeah. F a lot of that. And I've got a nephew and a niece as well. Actually a couple of nieces. My brother's got a niece of his own, and then a couple of stepkids. So, kind of done the uncle and aunt thing for a little bit here, and we're really enjoying that. That my nephew and niece call me Funkle because I'm the fun uncle. So, yeah, they like race cars. They came up to the tower at Race Week, and they got to watch that, and they were enthralled by Funkle being on the speakers at Bandamere. That's a larger than life kind of thing. All of a sudden you're the radio DJ, and that dude's famous, So it was kind of cool, and I gave them the little shout out, and they were all jumping up and down, that's crazy. So we're really enjoying that, and we, like I say, we say a lot, full bank accounts and fast cars rather than kids.
Okay, fair enough. Well, our last one is, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh my God. Michelle laughs. Come on, Michelle. drunk at 9:30 in the morning at sick week.
She read all my questions prior.
Man, 10 years. I mean, the really the goal for us is to get up there and find ourselves a plot of land and get a get a decent place either built on it or something place that's done. But a good shop, a little bitty house that we don't have to clean very much, and a little our little plot, and looking at 10 years, probably 10 more years till I could retire. So that's pretty good. Like kind of end is near, kind of getting that whole world of mine figured out. And yeah, I think that's going to be a good spot for us is going to be, a little 5 to 10 acres somewhere in South Dakota where I can pee off the front deck and not get the cops called on me.
Another cat. Maybe
oh yeah. Stevie wants a cat bad, and it doesn't make sense to move one, but yeah, when we get settled for sure, cat. Stevie's a cat girl. I turned her a little bit into a dog girl, a little bit, but at her like soul, she's a cat girl, and I also like cats. I had cats my whole time, kind of through the army, and they're just so much easier to kind of deal with.
Correct.
They're just set it and forget it. You can go for a week-long race, and as long as they have a big bowl of food and water, like they're probably good. Like a dog, you've got to like get a bunch of stuff set up. It's like almost like having a little bit of a kid, but you can lock it up and not go to jail. So that's cool. Drink. I'm out of beer. But yeah, I mean, really, I think that's it. Looking at kind of the end. I would like to say I would have, the main goal is stay healthy. There's, so much follows that. I mean, without being able to, get up and move around, you sure as hell can't race, and it gets tough to work and stuff like that. So, a little bit of that kind of rearing its head, especially with some of my army stuff. So, dealing with that now and trying to, if I can get it going now, then I'll be better later. But back stuff is bad news, and knee stuff is bad news. They don't want to do any surgery for any of that because I'm too young. They said it pretty much lasts 30 years. So they're like, if you're 65, then maybe, but who knows what'll be out in another 10 or 15 years. I mean, medical stuff is nuts. So, but yeah, that's sort of the main thing. I hope I'm healthy. Hope we're in good shape. Hope we got some kick-ass cars, and yeah, I hope we're racing them and we're having a good time. And I mean, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't ever announce. So, as long as I can sit in a chair, just prop me up and put me in the best seat in the house and let me talk about my buddies to my buddies.
No, that sounds like a good plan. And heck, maybe those vending machines will pay off.
Hell yeah. I do have, that's my 401k plan. And yeah, my biggest seller recently, I sold 5 Hot Wheels today.
Did you really?
I put Hot Wheels in it, and that's been the best thing that I've ever done. It now has 2 coils of Hot Wheels, and one of the kids at work said, if you could pop it open for me, and I can kind of pick and choose, I'll buy more than if I just have to buy them in line. And so I let him do that, and yeah, he picked out 4 of them, and I think he bought another one earlier in the day too. So I sold him 5. So hey, whatever.
Oh boy,
whatever. But yeah, no, I'm gonna keep that there. And I think I'm just going to fill it with stuff that doesn't go bad. So all the drinks, telling you, if you're going to get into vending, just get drink machines. Like the rest is garbage. It all goes bad. So unless you have multiple machines, like you buy into a route that has flow going, your food goes bad before you can sell it. So now you're either selling expired food for like nothing, and you're like hoping that no one sues you, or you're throwing it all away and you're not making any money on it. So cans, like, never go bad. Get a drink machine, man. That's it. And if you're trying to sell food, quit trying to sell food. Sell Hot Wheels.
Words of wisdom from Adam.
That's right.
Well, Adam, it's been fun.
It's been a blast, dude.
I appreciate the opportunity. I learned a whole bunch about you I didn't know, and
yeah,
very humbled by it. To be honest, I didn't know.
Hey, so, it was super cool, and it's probably stuff that I never would have said if someone didn't ask me, because like, yeah, I just don't talk about my Army stuff very much. And yeah, a lot of my kind of back history stuff is my stuff, but it's been really
Absolutely.
cool to sit down with you. And 2 hours went really fast, and we've had all sorts of dudes here the whole time. So it's been really fun. It's been really, really a good time.
Well, thank you, and thank you for entertaining the questions. Like I said, I hesitated on some of them, and the gentleman, Jim Hall, actually is the one, because he was in the Army, and he's actually the one who looked at your pictures to help me with it, because I had no clue. And he told me, he goes, "You need to make this the focal point at the beginning." And I said, "Well, I'm going to make a big deal out of it, but I says, I know nothing about it. It's like I'm talking about something I don't know anything about."
Right,
So
right, and it's a whole different thing. So it was cool to, you had your facts right mostly.
I tried. I did my best to research. I didn't have my briefcase, but I did my best research.
Well, if you ever need a briefcase, you just let me know. I'll let you borrow mine, and it's a pretty good conversation starter.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to borrow yours.
I'll disinfect it first.
Yeah, thanks. But
Awesome.
thank you for the opportunity very much. Thank you for your service, and thanks for all you do for Race Week, the Dragon Drive events. I mean, you are definitely the voice. I enjoy the passion you have when you announce. I was at Six Summer. I haven't met Derek Putnam. Obviously, I spoke to him on the phone, and I truly enjoy your passion when you're announcing. I mean, keep doing what you're doing, and I think it'll go far.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity, and thanks to everyone for chiming in and tuning in, and it's been fun to kind of turn the tables a little bit. And I didn't have to worry about doing very much. You had to do all the worrying about doing all the stuff, and now you have a kind of an idea of like the background with this, because there's a bunch of hours into digging into someone's, stalking into someone's stuff and figuring out, what kind of makes them tick and how far you want to go back and everything. And it's like a second job.
Well, and I was concerned. Obviously, we went to Race Week last week as a spectator, and we ended up towing Keith Lopez back to Kearney.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been literally nonstop since that, and we got back. So I spent yesterday and some of the day, Michelle started looking at pictures, but I was concerned as we were getting closer that there was way too much pictures or something like that it would create a whole issue.
No, not at all. Not at all. I've had these with like 50 of them, and I've had them with none. And it's kind of nice, because if you have a picture up, you can kind of adjust, and you don't see what I'm doing. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right now. And
You're
then
picking
it pops
notes.
back in, and where were your hands? No one knows.
Oh, Adam.
But no, seriously, thank you, and thanks to everyone for checking this out. It was fun turning the tables, and I'll let you do a sign off, and then we'll shut this thing off, and then we'll do our goodbyes. And dude,
Okay.
thank you. It was fun.
Okay. Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay, folks, that was Adam Dorey. You learned what makes him tick, or learned a little bit. Hopefully, you learned a lot about Adam. I sure did. And so the next time you see him, go up and shake his hand and thank him for what he does. I can tell you, based on his announcing and that kind of thing, he is quick on his feet. That may not always say someone's name right, may not always say the correct car, but at where he is at and what he is doing, I think he does an excellent job. And it would be hard for anyone to step into that position and do what he does. So just, make sure you tell him thank you. And it's well worth the just to sit there and listen to him and hear his knowledge and how quick he is to on his feet when something happens, or when however everyone's running or not running or braking, any of that stuff. So with that, we will see you all later at a Dragon Drive or at Race Week 2.0. Y'all have a good evening.